We're talking about the interview I did last night at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida, with former President Donald Trump.
You literally laid out, okay, I am now going to ask you about retribution and revenge.
That's the longest interview I think he's ever done.
Their TikToks have been taken down if they have anything about Trump.
And if they're not doing their job, we need to kick them to the curb and get somebody that will. That's how we need to do it. I want to introduce some good friends, colleagues and experts in their field. First is former prosecutor and News on Merritt Street anchor, Lonnie Coombs. We've been working together for many, many years out in LA. Also is my good friend who has left an indelible mark on the courtroom, Dallas trial lawyer for 50 years, Rod Phelan. He is an absolutely brilliant legal mind. He's really committed to justice. And finally, Greg Hartley. He is a body language expert and a member of behavior panel. And he's part of the family here at Merritt Street, so he's watching every one of you to see if you're doing anything. And it is absolutely brilliant and part of the behavior panel team. So I'll start with you four, and anybody can just jump in. You were all watching the interview, and I'm curious what your takeaways were from the interview. Anything jumped out at you? Because we're talking about someone that, according to the polls, may very likely resume the presidency of the United States soon, which would very likely put him back in a position of being the most powerful man on the planet in terms of politics, military power, and control. And I think this was an opportunity to have a look at him like we don't often see. So I'm just curious what your takeaways were.
Well, for me, right off, your relationship was clear, that you had a relationship with him, that you could talk to him in a way a lot of people may not be able to. And that chemistry matters. You know, Jung, the famous psychologist, once said that no two people are the same after interaction. So we had to watch for that. And we could see when he understood that you were not there just to excoriate him and just go after him, that he made a good eye contact with you and started to pay attention and was like, okay, somebody gets what I'm saying at least.
All right, well, let's take a look. We have a clip of what you're pointing out.
You know, it was interesting when you called the other day about doing an interview. A lot of people want to do interviews, and I don't just agree to them very easily. But I've always had great respect for you. I watch your show, some of the real good ones. And
what do you see?
So if you watched him, we typically think when people are having an emotional thought, they look down and to their right, their eyes will go down and to the right. Think about the last wedding or funeral you went to, and that will happen. We see him do that when he's describing the problem, but as soon as he starts saying somebody of your stature, watch him raise his head and make eye contact and show respect. That's powerful. Mm-hmm. That means who else is going to do that?
Right. You know, my position, just so you know, going into this kind of interview is I'm not a gotcha interviewer. I've never been a gotcha interviewer. I want to give people a chance to tell their story, say what they want to say, and then ask questions that I think the viewer would want asked. And if they don't answer them, then I'm going to ask them again. And if they go off on a 4th of July speech, then I'm going to say, well, that was a nice speech. Now answer my question. I do want my questions answered, but I give them a chance to say what they want to say. But then, and I told him at one point, I want people to get to know you because you're always campaigning. I don't want you campaigning. I want you to talk to us as a father and a husband and an individual. We want to know who you are, because he's got a speech that he gives, a stump speech that he gives. We've heard that. We want to hear some other things. And he was willing to do that. Yeah,
it showed when he made eye contact with you from that point on. I watched him throughout the entire interview. He cared what you thought, and that's important because it gives a person the opportunity to actually show you the human side as well.
Yeah, and by the way, I have an invitation to President Biden to do the same thing. I have an interview scheduled with RFK Jr. For week after next to do the same thing. These are the three people that are involved. Maybe RFK Jr. as a spoiler, but he could swing this whole election one way or the other. So I'm talking to all the candidates that'll talk to me, so we'll see how that goes. Rod, what do you think?
Well, I wrote down 5 things, Phil. He is the toughest guy I have ever seen. I've tried cases, of course, and You're exhausted when you try a case as a lawyer. Just imagine if you're sitting there powerless, the client, the guy who's got the bullseye painted on him, your freedom's at stake, and you've got no control over what happens in the courtroom. You got a hostile judge, you think the jury's hostile, your lawyers may or may not be doing what you want them to do, and Trump and he's getting it from all sides. That was one of 5 cases. I mean, and he just goes forward full steam ahead. Second, he wears a bullseye and he gets shot at because he's so formidable. I mean, this guy is really a force. I mean, I said to somebody, Phil kind of attended that interview as opposed to conducting it. And that's all you can do with a guy like Trump.
Well, we just signed professional bull riding here, and so I thought that was a warm-up for that.
Right.
Very good one.
3, he stays on message. He may wind around, but it's a familiar message, and he's going in the direction that he wants to go, trying to pull everybody with him. 4, he is a damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead guy. I mean, nothing gets in his way. He's going to go where he wants to go. You may not like where he's going, but you know where he's going, and he's going as hard as he can. And last, this guy wants revenge so bad he can taste it, but he knows better. And Phil, after letting him run, as Phil did throughout that interview, finally said, I want to see if I can get you where I want you. Will you take it back? Will you not be a vengeful president if you win? And he said, yes, I'm okay with that. That was really powerful. I hope he can stick to it.
What do you think about the revenge point?
Dr. Phil, I love to watch interviews, and I love to watch masterful interviews, and I'm always watching how the interviewer is getting to that information. I thought that this was the part of your interview that I just found fascinating, and I watched it over and over again. You literally laid out, okay, I am now going to ask you about retribution and revenge. I mean, you just put it out there to him. And I knew it was important to you because you literally came at it 4 different times. You kept coming. The first time you said, okay, what if? What if you just said, enough is enough? We're going to stop it now. And his response was, I'm okay with that sometimes. I'm sure in certain moments I wouldn't be. And then he kind of went off, and then you came in the second time. And your second time was, every situation needs a hero. You're in a position to be the hero. Do you want to do that? Will you step up? You're like constantly giving him that opportunity. And this time he kind of dodged it. He said, I think you'll be impressed. We need to unite and save the country. And then the next one you came, I mean, you were obviously prepared as you always are. You said, there's research right now that revenge in this country is an addiction. We are literally feeding off it, and you could stop that cycle. And this time he said, well, revenge is a strong word. Maybe we can have revenge through success. And then your last one, which I loved, was this quote from the Pope that I thought was so good. We are all brothers and sisters. Forgiveness is necessary. Otherwise, what will follow is not justice, but revenge. And then you followed up with, you don't have time to get even. You only have time to get it right. And he kind of pulled back again. He said, well, it does take time. And then he said, and I give him credit for this. He just said it to you. Sometimes revenge can be justified. So I have to be honest, sometimes it is. And then you said, but is the country better or worse for them going after you?
I think he made a major shift in his thinking, and look, he's not a dumb guy. And I think he understands, look, people don't want you running your own agenda. We want you running our agenda, and it's not you playing gotcha. And I think he'll understand. I think that will stick with him. It doesn't mean he doesn't need hit again, hit again, hit again, hit again. And I think people around him are studying this interview very carefully. And if they're smart, I think the messaging will change.
Yeah.
$36 trillion. That is the U.S. debt, and it gets deeper and deeper by the day. Our debt has never been higher, nor have the stakes. The government is looking to slash the federal budget by $2 trillion. And no one knows what that will mean for your job, savings, and future. I've seen a lot in my time, and there's one thing I know for sure. You need to prepare before it's too late. I trust Preserve Gold to help protect my wealth and I strongly urge you to do the same. They are the only precious metals firm I trust and recommend to my family, friends, and audience, and they have a special offer just for you. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 to get your free precious metals guide from Preserve Gold. With gold prices recently breaking records and analysts predicting this trend to continue throughout 2025, you cannot afford to wait. As a bonus, you can get up to $15,000 with a qualified purchase from Preserve Gold. So don't wait. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 today. We put up promos on the social media platforms about the interview for people to watch. And we submitted a promo to TikTok. And they said, well, we need to review this to see if it's consistent with community standards. It was just the promo here. I mean, it wasn't saying let's go stomp baby kittens to death or anything. And usually, now I don't do a lot of this myself, it gets put up, but usually the review is like 10 seconds because they run it through like an algorithm or something and make sure it doesn't have something in it that shouldn't be there. And an hour later, which is usually like 2 seconds or 10 seconds, an hour later, the message came back rejected. They would not put it up. And which is really disturbing to me because it was just a news promo. It was just a news promo. And it's not like I'm a known conspiracy wacko or something. And I've got 7 or 8 million followers there, so it's not like I'm an unknown person to them. But they wouldn't put it up because it had Trump in it. They didn't even know if it was pro or con. It had Trump in it, they wouldn't put it up. That's concerning to me. But we put it on there because we wanted to get young people, hey, watch this and find out who this really is. Maybe you'll hate them. And so at least you'll know it'll be based on fact. So, but yes, ma'am, stand up. We'll get you a microphone. Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Karen. I was just thinking about when they ran the first time together or the second time and President Biden won. I have a lot of Republican friends and a lot of Democratic friends. I'm kind of neutral, but they talked about good versus evil. And I thought, well, we're not really in a Disney movie, so I don't understand. You may not like him, I get that, but now, 4 years later, the same people I know that have said these things say, I'm really upset with my 401k, I'm upset when I go to the grocery store, and they're all voting for Trump now. So and on the TikTok thing, I do get on TikTok, and most of the people I have followed off and on, their TikToks have been taken down if they have anything about Trump. And I just think this is bias, and so that doesn't help his case at all. They just see one side.
Yeah, does that bother you, that they're taking stuff down because it has that in there? What do you want to say? We have 30 seconds before break, so say your name and then talk real fast.
April, my only thing is it doesn't allow us to see the genuine him. So watching your interview today, I think it actually gave me an interpretation that I've never had of him before, and us not seeing him more, it actually kind of hurts people on judging him. I guess if that's what the media wants to do, then they're doing a very good job at it.
Yeah, you bet.
I'm Callie, and I enjoyed the interview. I guess in relation to the last question about why people are not as invested, I wonder if it has to do with having less belief in democracy and with some of the issues that former President Trump was raising with free and fair elections, trusting the media, and the judicial system. All of those are kind of pillars of democracy. Mm-hmm. And I was left wondering, I guess, how President Trump is going to address the flaws in our democracy.
Yeah. You know, another theory that I've heard is a lot of these Gen Zers have told me that they feel like they'll never be able to get where their parents are. They're not going to be able to earn enough money to own a home. They're not going to be able to get to that level. And so they've just kind of checked out. And if that's the case, we have a real problem. That shouldn't be the case. Okay, next, who has the microphone? Just take it to the next person. Both of you, hand it to somebody and be ready. We'll go to you next and then you next. Okay, go.
Hi, I'm Carmen, and you did phenomenal on your interview with Trump.
Thank you.
By the way, I just want to add that I am in Gen Z, and I'm actually engaged in the upcoming election, and I think there are many people in my age group that are as well. It's just they have a different way, including myself, have a different way of going about it in research. I guess the generations prior would go to, I would say, Fox 4, CNN, etc. But like some said, we go to Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, because we feel, as a whole, we feel like the streaming sources are biased. So we go to social media, even though there may be some bias in it as well. It gives us more. It gives more information for us to think more and to have our own outlook on it.
Do you ever check to see if something's true?
Yes.
Have you ever been to a library? It's a big building with books.
Yeah.
I mean, you actually have been to a library?
Yes.
Because most people don't. I haven't been to one in years. Yeah. Because really, once you get it, electronically, it's difficult. Hand your mic to him, and then you go.
Dr. Phil, Mike Satterfield, I am asking, because the country is so polarized and divided, what is your hope from the interview that would help us make conscientious voting and objective voting without personality getting in the way of the platform and the issues you triumphantly pointed out to President Trump?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because, everybody says, get out and vote. And that's not what we need to do. We don't just need to get out and vote. We need to get out and make informed votes, not just vote. And this starts from the bottom up. And I mean, I don't care what the job is, even if it's your dog catcher. If you've got people in your neighborhood getting bit by dogs, then you need to kick that dog catcher to the curb and get somebody that's out there doing the job, taking care of the animals.